Venice, 13th century, a city of wealth, merchants, and endless ambition. From these narrow canals emerged one of the most legendary travelers of all time, Marco Polo. His name has become a synonym for exploration, adventure, and the mysterious East. But here's the shocking question. Did Marco Polo really reach China? Or is his story one of history's greatest exaggerations? For centuries, historians have debated whether the young Venetian truly set foot in the Middle Kingdom, or whether his tales were borrowed, embellished, and carefully crafted to inspire wonder in Europe. We trace Polo's extraordinary 24-year adventure, uncover the secrets of his famous book, The Travels of Marco Polo, and examine the evidence that has left scholars divided for over 700 years. This is not just the story of a man. It is the story of myth, empire, and the blurred line between truth and legend. This is the hidden truth of Marco Polo. Section 1. Marco Polo was born in 1254 in the Republic of Venice, a city that thrived on trade. His family were wealthy merchants, constantly moving goods across the Mediterranean. Marco's father Niccolo and Uncle Mafia were already seasoned travelers. In fact, years before Marco was even born, they had ventured as far as the Mongol Empire. When Marco was just 6 years old, his mother died, leaving him in the care of relatives. Meanwhile, his father and uncle set off again, traveling eastward, eventually reaching the court of Kublai Khan, the grandson of the great Genghis Khan. The Polos returned to Venice in 1269 when Marco was 15, but their reunion was short-lived. Just 2 years later, they were summoned back to Mongolia by Kublai Khan himself. This time, they took young Marco with them. He was only 17 years old, about to embark on a journey that would last 24 years and take him across deserts, mountains, and into the very heart of Asia. Section 2. The Polo family departed Venice in 1271. Their route would take them across the Mediterranean to the Middle East, then through Persia, and across the vast deserts of Central Asia. Imagine the dangers: sandstorms, bandits, bitter cold in the mountains, scorching heat in the deserts. They traveled by horse, camel, and foot through regions most Europeans had never even heard of. Along the way, Marco learned languages, customs, and skills that would serve him for the rest of his journey. He encountered bustling Persian cities, nomadic tribes, and the trading hubs of the Silk Road, each one a gateway to riches Europe could only dream of: silk, spices, porcelain, and precious stones. After years of travel, they finally reached the fabled court of Kublai Khan, ruler of the vast Mongol Empire. This empire stretched farther than Rome ever had, covering most of Asia, from Russia to the Pacific Ocean. And according to Marco Polo, it was here in China that he spent the next 17 years of his life. Section 3. In the Travels of Marco Polo, Marco described wonders that few Europeans had ever imagined. He spoke of a sophisticated empire with advanced technology, immense wealth, and strict governance. He wrote about paper money, a revolutionary idea in Europe. He described the postal system, with thousands of relay stations spread across the empire. He mentioned coal being burned as fuel, something unknown to most Europeans. But here's where the controversy begins. For all his detailed observations, Marco never once mentioned the Great Wall of China. He never described tea drinking, chopsticks, or foot-binding, things Europeans later associated strongly with Chinese culture. How could someone live in China for 17 years and omit such iconic details? This mystery has haunted historians for centuries. Section 4. Some historians argue that Marco Polo did indeed reach China. His descriptions of city layouts, the salt monopoly, and paper money align perfectly with what we know from Chinese records. His account of coal, for instance, is so accurate that it seems impossible to have been fabricated. Others, however, remain skeptical. Critics point out that many of his stories could have been borrowed from Persian or Arab merchants. And perhaps the strongest argument against him, Marco Polo's name does not appear in any surviving Chinese documents. No mention of a Polo or a European advisor at Kublai Khan's court. Did Marco Polo exaggerate his role, transforming himself from a merchant to a trusted confidant of the Khan? Or worse, did he never even reach China, instead gathering stories secondhand and passing them off as his own? Still, there is another possibility, that Polo did reach China, but only observed what seemed unusual to him. To the Chinese, tea drinking and chopsticks were ordinary. To Marco, perhaps they weren't worth writing about. And as for his absence in records, some argue he may have been known by another name in Chinese documents. one that has not yet been connected to the Polo family. The truth remains tangled in mystery. Section 5. Whether Marco Polo truly reached China or not, his book changed the world. The Travels of Marco Polo became one of the most influential works of the Middle Ages. It inspired explorers like Christopher Columbus, who carried a copy of Polo's book on his voyages. It fueled Europe's hunger for spices, silk, and trade with the East. And it gave birth to centuries of exploration and conquest. Perhaps Marco Polo exaggerated, perhaps he borrowed stories, but he also opened Europe's imagination to lands far beyond its borders. His words created a bridge between East and West, whether they were all true or not. And that may be his greatest legacy. Not the accuracy of his travels, but the inspiration they ignited. So what do you believe? Was Marco Polo truly an eyewitness to the grandeur of China? Or was he a master storyteller who spun the greatest travel tale in history? One thing is certain, his story changed the world forever. And sometimes, in history, the legend becomes just as powerful as the truth. If you enjoyed uncovering this mystery, hit that subscribe button and join us for more epic journeys into the secrets of our past.